The story continues inside a bingo hall where Raymond King waits quietly for a woman he's supposed to meet. What he doesn't know is that multiple assassins have already been contracted to eliminate both him and the mystery guest. When Anise finally arrives, she instantly realizes something's off. Her instincts tell her this is connected to a new assignment. King confirms it by sliding a photo across the table, an image of the Sanchez family, Gino, his wife Edith, and their son Alberto. The family had left El Salvador chasing a better life elsewhere. King explains he doesn't want them harmed, instead he needs Anise to track them down, convinced that only she has the skill to do so. He makes it clear he's retired, but certain matters still pull him back in. Anise warns him that the place is crawling with hired guns. They're not after her, only him. Realizing his time is running out, King rises from the table and makes his way toward the restroom, hoping to find a way out. But escape is no longer a real option. Inside, he's forced into confrontation. Armed men close in, but he takes them down with startling precision, using nothing more than a simple pin. Despite their weapons, he fights his way through the chaos and manages to break free of the club. Meanwhile, Anise is caught in her own fight, taking down some of the gunmen but barely making it out herself. King's relief doesn't last long. On the street outside, a bullet finds its mark. He collapses instantly. By the next morning, Deputy Director Mary Beth Medina receives a call from LAPD, informing her of King's death. Since she's listed as his emergency contact, she's asked to come identify the body. At the hospital, she sees something unexpected, a message scrawled on his arm in ink, "Call the accountant." Elsewhere, Christian Wolf is seen preparing himself, adjusting into a sharp suit while reviewing financial data, unaware of the storm about to reach him. Christian nearly goes with a black suit, but changes his mind at the last moment. He's heading to a romance festival and figures something lighter might work better if he's going to meet someone special. Dozens of men show up with the same idea, all hoping for their own shot at finding love. The setup is simple. Each woman gets a few minutes of one-on-one time with him. But things take a turn when he admits to the organizers that he tweaked the selection system to make himself appear like the ideal match. Despite the trick, one by one the women lose interest, leaving him with nothing to show for it. Elsewhere, Mary Beth arrives at King's old residence. To her surprise, his belongings are gone, boxed up and hauled away. She presses for the notes he used to keep on his walls, the ones full of cryptic details. As she digs through what remains, she finds photos of dead bodies, pages of scribbled observations, and a letter from Harbor Neuroscience Academy with Christian Wolf's name scrawled across the back. Christian, meanwhile, is at home preparing dinner with his usual disciplined precision. That's when Mary Beth calls the number from the business card she found. The night receptionist can't provide much, but someone else is quietly listening in. Justine, the true handler behind the accountant. When Mary Beth mentions King's death, Justine is shaken. On the other side of the city, the man responsible for King's murder fumes over how his crew botched the job. He can't believe they failed to kill one woman, especially Anise. He's convinced she'll come for him eventually. After all, she once spared him only because she didn't recognize him as a target. Determined not to make that mistake again, he orders his men to eliminate her before she gets the chance. Mary Beth presses on with the investigation King left behind, tracing clues that eventually lead her to Christian. She recognizes him instantly and makes it clear she knows the type of training he's had and the kind of destruction he's capable of. But instead of confrontation, they sit down to go over the evidence. King's files include disturbing images of murder victims, and together they try to connect the dots. Christian studies a photo of the Sanchez family, though he doesn't know their story yet. Through the night, Mary Beth searches for patterns, only to wake up and find Christian has already reorganized everything with methodical precision. He explains the trail points back to the Sanchez family, who fled El Salvador and crossed into Mexico by clinging to a freight train. He's pieced together details about their son's changing age in different photos, and he's even uncovered a lead, Edith, who works at a local pizza factory. The two of them head there to ask questions. The factory boss, flanked by bodyguards, insists he knows nothing. Christian gets his attention by pointing out shady details in the company's finances. Within moments, he exposes cooked numbers and demands the truth. When the guards step in, Christian dismantles them with ease before turning his focus back on the boss, pressing for answers. Cornered, the man admits he launders money, but insists the real lead is a man named Tomas. Mary Beth is furious with Christian's methods, calling his tactics unacceptable. As a government official, she can't condone violence. Christian listens, but doesn't promise to change. They agree to keep pushing forward, and Christian mentions he has someone in mind who can help. The focus shifts to Berlin, where Braxton is staying in a luxury hotel. He spends the day trying and failing to charm a woman named Margaret, who oversees the adoption of a puppy he wants. Since the dog's still too young, she refuses to release it to him just yet. Restless, he kills time with various distractions until his brother calls out of the blue. Christian needs him. At first, Braxton ignores the call, frustrated by the way Christian only reaches out when he wants something. He reminds him that their last collaboration nearly ruined his career, but despite the tension, Christian pushes, asking him to fly to Los Angeles within 24 hours. Braxton doesn't answer, he just hangs up. Back in LA, Christian waits to see if his brother will actually show. Christian admits to Mary Beth that he hasn't spoken to Braxton in nearly a decade, and whenever they do cross paths, his brother's always carrying some kind of grudge. She advises him to show a little gratitude when they reunite, even if it feels forced. So when Braxton finally arrives, he's immediately wary of Mary Beth and suspicious of anything connected to government work. He pulls Christian aside, and when Christian thanks him, Braxton instantly knows the line came from Mary Beth's coaching. To move forward, Braxton sets up a meeting with 3 women linked to the pizza factory owner's network. Mary Beth monitors the interaction from another room in the hotel. When the women arrive, Braxton tells Christian to keep quiet and step aside. He pays the women up front and then throws out a blunt question. What happens if a client crosses the line or things get out of hand? The question puts them on edge, but Braxton's real goal is to figure out who steps in to handle trouble, someone with power over them. 2 of the women leave immediately, sensing danger, but one decides to stay. She makes it clear that giving up the name isn't just a matter of cash, she's risking her own life. With enough money on the table, she admits the man they're looking for is Tomas, and she'd love to see him taken down. She calls him, pretending she's trapped by clients in a hotel room. Before Tomas can realize it's a setup, she takes the money and vanishes, hoping to never see him again. While they wait for Tomas, Mary Beth checks in with her team. They've pulled traffic cam footage of Raymond King entering the bingo hall before his death, but the crowd makes it impossible to tell who shot him. She's also told about Emiliano Gonzalez, Edith Sanchez's father, who was killed. Years earlier, he'd reported his family missing. The cartels often snatched migrants to ransom them or sell them to traffickers. When Mary Beth sees evidence of a mass grave, she recognizes Gino Sanchez among the dead. Her call ends just as Tomas arrives. Braxton takes him out with one brutal hit that sends him crashing through the building into the parking area. They stash him in a trunk, planning to interrogate him later. Mary Beth protests, worried the police could pull them over at any moment. Christian contacts Justine, asking her to reroute traffic lights so their path stays clear, and to dig up intel on who King met the night he was killed. At Harbor Academy, Justine's team prepares to track a suspect across the city using surveillance feeds. Back with Christian, Mary Beth, and Braxton, the problem is figuring out how to make Tomas talk. Braxton suggests using force, but before anything starts, Justine sends them new footage. On the recordings, they spot a woman calmly walking through the middle of the gunfight that killed King, completely unshaken. Her name is Anise. They agree to trace her movements, but she's skilled at avoiding cameras, knowing exactly where not to be seen. Their workaround comes when they find a girl who unknowingly snapped a selfie with Anise in the background. A group of young hackers distracts the girl, hacks into her cloud storage, and pulls the photo. Mary Beth objects, calling the whole thing unlawful, but they go through with it anyway. Once the photo is enhanced, facial recognition confirms a match in Interpol's database. The mysterious woman gets tied to a string of gruesome cases across different countries, the same files King had obsessively gathered. Whoever she is, she was the last person seen with him, and she clearly doesn't want anyone tracking her down. Mary Beth is baffled. Why would King risk meeting someone tied to so many killings just for information on a missing family? Braxton sees it differently. He argues that she isn't behind every death on those files, and in the heat of the moment, slips up admitting responsibility for some of the bodies himself. Mary Beth is shaken. That's enough for her to step back, disgusted with the lack of moral boundaries around her. She storms out, starts her car, then realizes Tomas is still locked in the trunk. Furious, she goes back inside to warn Christian she's done working with him and will carry on the investigation solo. Before leaving for good, she makes it clear she won't hesitate to return and doesn't care if they're still there when she does. Down in Mexico, an armed gang holds an entire settlement hostage. Among those trapped is Alberto, the son of Edith and Gino Sanchez. A few days later, Mary Beth teams up with a lawyer and begins formal proceedings against Tomas, hoping the pressure will push him into cutting a deal. Cornered, Tomas admits he knows Edith, mentioning a severe car crash she'd been in years earlier, but before he can finish his statement, a sniper opens fire. Mary Beth and her lawyer barely escape alive. While she's piecing together her next steps, the Wolf brothers spend an afternoon together. Christian is buried in phone calls, digging through old accident reports. Braxton tries steering the conversation into personal territory, asking why Christian never seems to miss him when they're apart. He'd spent years searching for his brother, yet Christian never once reached out. Christian answers plainly, it's not about cruelty, it's just that his mind doesn't process the feeling of missing someone the way others do. Oddly enough, the blunt honesty calms Braxton. That night, the two head to a club for drinks. While Braxton keeps talking, Christian's attention shifts to a woman dancing nearby. She eventually approaches, introduces herself as Angie, and asks him to request a song. His responses fall flat, not matching the playful tone she expected. Braxton tries to coach him on what to say, but Christian insists his brain doesn't work the same way. Then, in a rare move, Christian forces himself onto the dance floor. He carefully counts each step, positions himself near Angie, and dances with her. From the sidelines, Braxton beams with pride, knowing how much effort it takes for his brother to push past his limitations. When the song ends, celebrations are cut short by a jealous guy who barges in, claiming Angie is his girl. Christian provokes him just enough to get a reaction, and Braxton, eager for a fight, jumps in. The brawl ends with both men thrown out of the building. The brothers run off together, laughing like kids who just got away with trouble. Elsewhere, Mary Beth digs through hospital records, trying to confirm Edith's past. She learns Edith survived a devastating accident that shattered bones, damaged her skull, and left her memory wiped clean. She went through reconstructive surgery and grueling neuro rehab. When she finally stabilized, doctors noticed something strange. She'd developed savant-like skills, becoming a chess genius almost overnight. But her style wasn't elegant or tactical, it was violent, as if each match was a battle for survival. One recording shows Edith singing a strange tune whenever asked about her family. To the staff it seemed meaningless, but it was the only link to her past. While Mary Beth studies the files, Justine's crew hacks the hospital system, quietly copying all the data. At the same time, Braxton learns his boss has ordered him to eliminate Mary Beth, a task that weighs heavily on him. Christian, meanwhile, focuses on the escort's cryptic words. He can't shake the thought that Edith is alive yet, never contacted her father. Another detail nags him. The photo of Alberto looks more like a prison shot than one from school. Soon he uncovers the brutal truth. His brothers have been tasked with killing Mary Beth. He races through the night to stop it, telling Justine to warn her. She also reveals Edith's location, and that Raymond King died because he had already found her. Anise soon storms Mary Beth's Airbnb, gun in hand. Thanks to Justine's message, Mary Beth is ready, but she's quickly overpowered. Grabbing a knife doesn't help. Anise turns it against her. Then a family photo on the wall floods Anise with memories. She is Alberto's mother, the real Edith. Her mind flashes back to when Burke and his cartel murdered her husband. Christian arrives just as the truth emerges. He connects the dots that Anise and Edith are the same person, though she insists that life is gone. He tells her Alberto is likely trapped in a camp in Juarez, Mexico. Without a word, she leaves. Meanwhile, Burke orders children moved into the desert to erase evidence. Shaken, one of his men obeys. Christian vows to rescue them. Braxton argues, feeling he's always been abandoned, while Christian insists he's always cleaned up after his brother. Despite their clash, Braxton agrees to go. On the road, Justine learns the children are minutes from execution. Shaken, she cuts the feed so they don't have to watch. Christian thanks Braxton for standing with him as they gear up for the camp. Chaos erupts the moment they arrive. Gunfire rains down as Alberto hides in the dorms. The brothers cut down enemies and gather the children, but the cartel starts loading them onto buses. They throw smoke to blind their attackers. From a distance, a sniper hits Braxton. Christian drags him to safety, but Braxton urges him to continue. Wounded, he fights hand to hand until Christian returns to finish it. By then, the bus with Alberto is already moving. The brothers intercept as the kids are marched toward a pit. In the crossfire, a thug tries to use Alberto as a shield, but Braxton creates an opening for Christian to end it. Christian confirms the boy's identity. Alberto is safe. Braxton checks on the other children at the pit and is relieved to find them alive. Together, they leave the nightmare. On the road, he notices a stray kitten and adopts it as his companion. Elsewhere, Braxton's mob boss receives a call from Justine, who demands he cancel the hit on Mary Beth. Instead, she orders Anna to Costa Rica to deal with Burke. Mary Beth, recovered, begins dismantling the corrupt operations, starting with a front posing as a pizza factory. She later thanks Justine, while the Harbor Academy prepares to welcome Alberto. A few days later, the brothers share a light moment with Alberto, joking about the kitten. Christian suggests they do something normal after dropping him off, a trip, maybe even a small vacation. For the first time in years, their fractured bond feels like it's beginning to heal.